All right, what's up, guys?
All
How's
right,
everybody?
what's up, guys?
Oh, my audio's on. There we go. How's everybody doing? So, let's see. I'm going live on my Facebook as well for the first time. Usually, I go live on Instagram with these, but I've been banned from going live on Instagram because some of my posts got taken down. So, anyways, here we are. So, how's everybody doing? Hope you guys are doing well. Staying high vibe in this very interesting time in our world, but it's an exciting time. Lots changing, a lot's transforming, and this is really a great opportunity for us to really look at what are we creating in our lives? What is it that you are creating in your life? What are you focusing on? Where are your thoughts going at this time? Because that's what's creating your reality, is the things that you focus on. It's like when you start to focus on one thing, it starts to expand, it starts to grow, right? And a lot of people are focusing on fear. They're focusing on, all this fear porn and things like that they're being bombarded with in the news, right? So your focal point is so important at this time. So, yeah, but again, this is a very exciting time. So I'm in North Carolina right now. I've been traveling a bit. I'm studying with Michael Wynn right now at a retreat, and this week I did Greater Common Lee, which is internal alchemy. Uh, Greater Conley specifically is Sun, Moon, Earth alchemy, so tapping into the energy body of the Earth and working with the Sun and Moon, the five elements of the Earth. Very, very powerful work. And then next week I'm doing star alchemy, so working with the celestial body. So awesome stuff. I love North Carolina. It's so beautiful here. The nature, the space is actually absolutely amazing. I went, a friend and I today went and we went foraging for reishi mushrooms. We found a nice bunch of reishi mushrooms out in the forest. Very medicinal, very spiritual, shen building tonic herb. Reishi is great. So anyways, having a great time. Things good. So talking about semen retention and creating your ideal life. Again, as I mentioned, your focal point is what you're creating with in your reality. What you focus on is growing. What you focus on is expanding. And so important to understand this and start to control what you're focusing on, control where your mind's going, because you're always expanding these things. And when you're acting out of fear, what's guiding your decisions, right? Often we either act out of fear or out of love, out of inspiration, right? And when you act out of fear, you always bring more fearful things into your life. We're seeing a lot of this in the world. But when you act out of love, out of inspiration, out of excitement, then you know that you're in your highest alignment. You know that you're in your highest path. And it's time for us to stop acting out of fear, to stop making decisions out of fear, because fear it's the dark side. And you can definitely be certain that whenever fear is being used to guide decisions in your life, or whenever fear is being pushed into agendas, right, politically, you can know for certain that this is a dark side agenda. So just keep that in mind, as the events in this coming time unfold, and stay in your heart, stay connected to your truth, your inspiration, your joy, and what you feel is your purpose, right? When you act out of excitement and out of inspiration, you are always on the right path. So, yeah. And semen retention is a very important tool because, again, in this age of overstimulation, in this age of free porn and sexual overstimulation, so many men are driven to deplete their sexual energy by masturbating every day, by getting on Pornhub every day, and rubbing one out. It used to be part of my daily routine in my early 20s, and it was depleting my energy. I had no reservoir of energy to create with. I was living in a depleted state. I had no confidence. I was smoking weed every day just to forget about my life because I wasn't happy where I was. I wasn't getting anywhere where because I was depleting my energy from consistent ejaculation. So building up this life force for a man is the most important thing you can do. And when I'm talking about semen retention, I'm not saying you have to go the rest of your life without ejaculating. That's not what I'm saying. There's definitely a balance you can find. For most guys, going 3 days without ejaculating is a major feat. So start with that if you're new to this, right? And then once you do that, go for a week and just notice how you feel. Notice how different you feel. And all right, here's a question. I think it's fitting. Do I feel better now than I did in my 20s and teens? Yes, I feel more energized, more physically powerful, more strong and active now than I did when I was 18 years old. Because again, when I was 18, I was smoking weed all the time. I was jerking off to porn every day. And I didn't have very strong vitality. In my early 20s, I was strong in depletion, right? So from my internal practice, from practicing sexual kung fu, doing qigong, meditation, cultivating my internal energy, cultivating my qi, I have very heightened levels of energy, right? I feel high 24/7 for my practice. And this is what working with sexual kung fu can do for you, right? So I'm going to be answering questions at the end of this as always. So I see some questions coming in. So semen retention for a man is essential to, again, build up this power. This starts to charge up your masculine polarity, your masculine essence, right? It improves your testosterone, improves your energy. You have more power to create worth. You have this drive and this energy that's just, it's all this desire. It's all this passion to go out and get things done, right? The first impulse for men, their sex drive is increasing as they're doing retention, is to, of course, have sex. But when you create new pathways in your energy body, your physical body as well, to express this sexual energy in a different way, then you are able to put it into more, we could say, productive, more fulfilling, more, multidimensional things than just ejaculating out of your body. And this is the shift that we as men really need to make at this time if we want, the world to change. Change the dynamic of how you express your sexual energy, because you need this energy to keep yourself healthy, keep yourself happy, to create the life that you want to live. So here's a practice for you, right? How do you start creating your dream life? How do you start making the things happen that you want to happen? First of all, you have to get clear about what it is you actually want in your life. Most people are completely focused only on what they don't want. They're like, oh, well, I don't want to work at this job I'm stuck in. I don't want to, catch coronavirus. I don't want to, whatever, right? And that's throughout their day. That's what they're thinking about. And they're bringing more into this, because what you focus on grows. What you focus on, you magnetize into your life. So you shift from that and start thinking about, okay, what do you actually want in your life? Write it down. Write down the top 5 things that you want. Don't worry about how realistic it seems to you, because actually anything's possible. We have a lot of these limitations, these limiting belief systems that were given to us from our parents, from our ancestors. Most people just, we're part of the agreement of coming into this physical plane is that we kind of carry some of our ancestors' baggage. So from the moment you're born, you're carrying all these rocks, these boulders on your shoulders. And a lot of people never let these things go. So that's the biggest thing, is being able to clear these limiting beliefs. You can do absolutely anything you want. You can accomplish absolutely anything. And so the key is your focus and having your internal practice, building your chi. When you build your chi, you build your causality, your ability to affect your world, to be able to affect the life that you're living, right? So write down what it is you want in your life. And then you start to focus on these things. Every morning you get up, take out your list of things you want, maybe the top 5, right? Get into a meditative state and feel yourself, not just like visually, but feel yourself having accomplished that. Feel it right now in the present moment. If you say, well, I want, $1 million in 2 months, if it's something in the future, it's never going to happen, because the future is an illusion. It's not here, it's not now. So when you feel these things in the present moment, create that vibrational state. For example, if you want, $10,000, feel yourself having just received that. Someone comes up to you and says, here's $10,000. How would you feel? Feel the excitement, feel that in your body, right? And feel that about whatever it is you're trying to bring into your life. This is one of the keys to manifesting. But this is the first part, and this is very, very important. If you just do this, you're going to definitely start seeing some major shifts in your life if you do this every day. But now you have to act on these things. It's like there's kind of the yin and the yang. The yin is like, okay, this is what I want, and putting it out in the field. But the yang is like, you take action to make it happen. And once you're clear about what you want, all of a sudden these opportunities will show up in your life. You have to start following your intuition. You're like, oh, you know what? Today I feel like I should, call this friend of mine, just for some reason. I just feel inspired to do that. So you start listening to these little intuitive hits you get, these little excitements you get. And you will always be on the right path. Talking about following your excitement, right? That's always the guide. All of a sudden, these synchronicities start to happen. You call this friend. He says, hey, you know what? I had this opportunity or whatever, and one thing after the other. So it's like taking action on the things that inspire you throughout the day. And when you're doing semen retention on top of this, you now have that fuel. You now have that creative sexual energy to drive these things you want to bring into your life. It starts to magnetize them towards you. Since I started doing this, only 3 years I've been doing this type of thing, and my life has completely changed. I went from working in a restaurant making $9 an hour to running my own business. Having an abundance of income, being able to travel the world as I please and do whatever I want, working for myself. So if I can do this, you can do this. And working with your sexual power is the key. And if you want to get a head start on this, if you want to learn to master sexual energy, practice semen retention lifestyle, clear all these limiting beliefs, get all these boulders off your shoulders, and be able to have sex without ejaculating, last 4 hours in bed, check out my 6-week course, Multi-Orgasmic Man. Just open registration. So go to my website, jonathanwhitelifestyle.com, Multi-Orgasmic Man. Also, my YouTube videos, you guys on YouTube, I put a link in all my videos to that course. So check that out. Registration's open right now until July 26th. So check that out. All right, guys, I'm going to answer some questions. Kundalini syndrome. Okay. I just heard about Kundalini syndrome, which translates in psychic conditions, chronic fatigue, and depression. What is it and why is it manifested? How can we prevent it? So Kundalini syndrome is, I would say it's often a mistaken diagnosis for what's actually excess yang energy in the body. It's usually a deficiency of yin. So what's happening is that these two major channels in the body, the microcosmic orbit, there's the Dumai, the back channel, the fire channel, and then there's the front channel, the Renmai, the water channel. Sometimes there's an imbalance, right? The back channel is super open and the energy is like just rushing up into your head, rushing up. Yeah. Watching on YouTube, Facebook. You can, if you have any questions, post them in the comments there. So Kundalini syndrome is often the front channel, the yin is out of balance. So all this fire is rising up the spine, up into the head, and activating all this, excess yang energy. So sometimes you have hallucinations, you feel overstimulated, you can't sleep. You just have this crazy energy up in your head, and you're sometimes there's a bit of like psychic activation as well. So usually when people are talking about Kundalini psychosis, it's actually just an imbalance of yin and yang in their body. Too much yang. This happened to me when I was doing Kundalini yoga. I'm doing these Kriyas, breath of fire, just like forcing all this energy up my spine, stuck in my head, and I was like floating above the world, like woo, I'm so enlightened and spiritual, but like I was broke, and like my physical life, here in the physical plane was a mess, right? So Kundalini syndrome, the remedy is grounding. Okay, grounding. Work with the microcosmic orbit meditation I have on my YouTube channel. Do my qigong practices. Check out my qigong playlist. You need to get in your body, get your feet on the earth, connect with that earth energy. Helps to pull that yang energy back down, ground it, and problem solved, right? If you're having a true Kundalini experience, then you're like multi-dimensional. You're like, you're seeing beings in other dimensions, and you're barely in this world, right? So that's a true Kundalini awakening. But most people don't have that when we're talking about Kundalini psychosis. Usually it's just an imbalance of yin and yang. Why am I never clear on how to non-ejaculatory orgasm? I talk about it all the time. I have several videos on some basic techniques to do it. And the thing is, it's not really a really easy thing to explain. I mean, theoretically, I can explain it. Basically, you're bringing the energy upward in the body instead of out the penis. But how do you actually do that, right? You do that by opening up your orbit, bringing the energy up your channels, your energy channels as you're sexually stimulating. But there's a little more to it than that, obviously, for most men, because it can be a bit difficult to create that new pathway. So that's why I have my course going in depth on how to do it, because there's a lot of foundational work that most guys have to do first, right? It's a bit of a process. So that's why I can't teach it to you in 2 minutes. This isn't the technique that most people teach where it's like, oh, you just squeeze your pelvic floor as you're about to ejaculate and have a dry genital orgasm. It's a really weak technique. I've done impressive. Just did a video on qigong for beginners. It was awesome. Awesome, brother. Yeah, qigong is absolutely incredible. I do it every day, and I have been for 7 years now. 18, gave up weed and porn, masturbating to porn. That's awesome, brother. Wish I had stopped at 18, but it's all good. We all have our path. Okay, how about men over 40 on semen retention journey? How often would you suggest to release, keeping the pipes clean, or never bust at all? So depends on your health. If you're in good health, then as a man in your 40s, there's one formula, which is you take your age, multiply it times 0.2, and the answer to that is how many days you should go minimum between ejaculation. So if you really want to ejaculate, every now and then, you can use that for the minimum amount of days you should go between. But personally, I choose to go for longer. If I was 40 years old, I would probably go, once every month or something like that, But just in general, if you ejaculate and you feel depleted and fatigued the next day, like you feel a definite loss in your energy, then you should go for longer, right? When you're doing sexual kung fu practices, when you're building your energy, circulating it throughout your body, having an ejaculation here and there, it doesn't even make a difference. It's one of the values of this work. Broke my 2-week streak today. Not a big deal. Just, start going now. 2 weeks is a lot better than most, and 99% of men, so it's nothing to really beat yourself up about. Can I have a Kundalini experience on command now? I don't know. I can get some really, really powerful yang energy going if I really want to, but I don't really enjoy that anymore because it gives me insomnia, disconnect me from the physical plane. You know what I mean? I've had enough of that. I really like the Taoist practices because they're very grounding. It's like I want to be functional in the world when I'm having this full body energy moving, full body energy activation, which is why I like qigong and tai chi so much, because it's like, yoga and like the Kundalini path, it's just like your spine, your head is kind of where all the energy's at, right? But in like tai chi and qigong, it's like my arms are having like, energetic orgasms. My legs are charged up with energy. The earth chi's in my whole body, and so it's just a much more holistic trip, I could say, right? I'm going to jump off Facebook because I think my connection's not great. So if you're watching on Facebook, just jump over to YouTube. I'm going to answer some more questions. Can I have an experience like I did with LSD? Man, I very often get myself into states that are similar to psychedelic substances. That's why I love the practices I do so much, is like you get high as fuck without any of the negative side effects, right? Like if I was to take some LSD, I would be, it would deplete a lot of my jing. I'd feel really out of it. Not to mention it's just a bit much, right? Working with sexual energy, especially like some of the full body orgasm experiences I've had with my partner, it's like, it's better than any substance I've ever taken. It's a much just more expansive trip of just like full body. It's hard to explain, but it's like very much like drugs without having to take drugs. Am I able to astral travel or lucid dream on command? If I really want to lucid dream, I can, but it takes a lot of work, takes a lot of focus in my life, and I'm so busy right now, running a business, having my daily practice, that when I was really into lucid dreaming, I was able to do it pretty frequently. And again, if I really want to, I can do it. And I do spontaneously have lucid dreams quite regularly, but it's just not one of my main focuses right now. But if I want it to be, it would be. One of the best techniques for lucid dreaming is waking yourself up after you've been sleeping for about 4 or 5 hours, getting up for a little bit, getting up for 20 to 30 minutes, and just kind of preparing yourself mentally, like maybe read about lucid dreaming for a little bit, do some qigong, charge yourself up, and then you go back to sleep with the intention of lucid dreaming. And for me, it works pretty much almost every time, because you there's this balance between being mentally aware. You need to be mentally aware to get that lucid state when you're dreaming. And so it's really difficult to do it when you just go to bed at night exhausted. Hopefully the lag's a little less bad now. Do I practice Kareza? Any tips? I do teach a version of Kareza in my course, but basically it's a very meditative and slow way of sexual stimulation. So typically, as a man stimulating yourself, it's overstimulating and mostly focuses on the underside of the penis, the frenulum, which is the trigger for ejaculation. So basically, stop using that type of stimulation. Change it. Think of it more as a massage. I did an Instagram post about this recently. Stimulate more of the upper part of the penis, and keeping completely relaxed, breathing deeply, slowly, right? Take your time with it, and you start to get into these really powerful full body states. Excuse me. How did my family and friends react to my transformation when I started semen retention? Did I mention it to them or just let them wonder what was different? I definitely didn't tell my family about the stuff. I mean, I love my family. They're great. My parents are amazing people. I just didn't really feel like saying, "Hey, Dad, I'm retaining my semen now." They're a little religious. They're a little conservative, and I just don't want to have that conversation, basically, right? But there's obvious transformation I was going through, and it's like recently I was visiting my parents, and they're like, "I don't know." Well, they know I do qigong and stuff. They're just like, "We're not really sure like what you're doing, but clearly it's working well because things are going really well for you." So they support me in what I'm doing. And my friends, a lot of my old friendships kind of faded away as I'm cultivating myself, cultivating my own energy, going through my own transformations. I realized that a lot of these people I was hanging out with, spending time with, we just weren't really in alignment anymore. It's like a lot of friends who are all they do is go to the bar, watch TV, things like that. It's just like, well, that's just not me. It's like, so as old friendships, faded away, it created the room for more new, very fulfilling friendships. So, it's been transforming for sure. What's my favorite movement in qigong? The one that I feel energizes my body the most? Well, the thing with qigong is it's really not about the movements. Like, when I was learning qigong, I was like, man, I gotta find like the perfect form, like the one that's just gonna like, do it all for me, just energize me. So like, we often think of, for me, I used to think of qigong as like, oh, it's this certain movement that you're doing. I move my arms in this way, and or this way. Oh, it's different this way. That's not it. It's not the physical movements. It's not that at all. When you have the qigong, when you have the gong, right? The gong is the skill, the discipline that you've achieved. It doesn't matter what movement you're doing because it's all about that internal activation of energy. Are you in sung? Sung is that state of active releasing all tension in your body. Is your full body connected? If you're moving, I could say this is the most powerful movement, but you go and do it and you're like lifting up your shoulders, you're all tense doing this, you block your flow of energy. You have to relax. You have to open and get this full body connection. Develop the Dantian, connect the Dantian to your Lao Gong points in your hands so you get this full pathway of qi energy. So the point I'm trying to make here is that qigong is completely internal, which is why Zhanzhuan, the standing meditation, is such an important foundation for it, because it teaches you how to hold your body in a way that the energy channels are active, right? So my point being that any movement can be the most powerful movement in qigong once you really understand the depth of qigong. And that's what I'm trying to communicate now, because it's a deep art. It's very powerful. What I see is that 80 to 90% of people teaching it actually have no real experience with qi, because when you have it, it's tangible. You feel the energy just as real as like an electrical shock in your arm. And once I understood how to do that, it was really studying with some, high-level Tai Chi teachers who actually have the internal energy that, completely changed my trip on what qigong really is. And that's what I'm trying to teach now. I have one video on my website called Qigong Mastery where I go into the stuff. I'm opening a new online school called Immortal Energy Arts. So I go into depth on this energy cultivation. So look for that in the future if you're interested in really mastering this stuff. So that was a long answer to a short question, but it's important to understand this, I would say. Greetings from Peru. Awesome. Greetings, brother. Okay, am I able to tap into pure intuition to get immediate answers to questions I may have, or creative inspiration that was obviously not from my effort? Definitely. And obviously it depends how, clear I am. If I've been working on my computer for 5 hours, I'm probably not going to be able to drop into that deep state and get that, that higher self or that internal intuition. But, when I'm in the flow, when I'm out in nature, or I've just been, meditating for an hour, doing my daily practice, then I can usually tap in, get those answers from, my guides in the other planes and my higher self and things like that. So, and it's just part of the practice, part of the evolution as you're doing this work. Semen retention does wonders in the gym. All the saved up testosterone makes you lift heavier, feel like a beast. Definitely. I mean, I couldn't even get myself to work out until I started practicing semen retention. It was like, I've got all this energy. I'm like, let's go. I want to go lift some weights. And I put on like 30 pounds in the past few years practicing semen retention because so energized to go to the gym. Do I use a specific type of water? I do actually take ionized water only because I have a friend. So I taught a retreat in New York, and the friend who was hosting it was like, well, part of the payment is like, I'm going to give you a Kangen machine. These are like freaking $4,000 machines. I would never bought one on my own, but so I have this water ionizer to drink alkalized water. It's great. I would say the best water is coming from the earth. You know what I mean? Like anything that's coming from an electrical device has that AC/DC kind of disharmonious electrical current in it in some way, but there's a lot of health benefits shown from the water ionizer. So basically, yeah, that's what I use. Top 3 philosophers. Good question. I'd have to really think about that. There's been a lot of philosophers who've had impact on me. I don't know. Obviously, I like a lot of the Taoist, the Lao Tzu, the Chuang Tzu. What's his name? Chen Tuan, the dream practice guy who spent months, out of his body, basically. Chen Tuan was a Taoist dream practice master. He'd go into a cave and just project into the astral plane, basically, and just float around for months, come back to his body for a little bit, have someone take care of his physical body. So super interesting, but he had a lot of interesting writings. How would we be able to identify a true master? Very good question, and I don't really have any real easy answer for this. It's something I'm still asking myself. But take a look at them. Do they seem balanced? Do they seem healthy and vibrant and have like high energy levels? Do you feel like your vibrations raised being in their presence or interacting with them? You know what I mean? There's the whole like qigong circus tricks, chi tricks, people like lighting things on fire and things like that. But I don't really play into that, kind of circus exhibition of internal powers. I think it's more about keeping yourself in balance and harmony, because it's a feat to stay happy, to stay in balance and harmony, living in this world. You know what I mean? To me, that's a superpower to be able to do that. So what is my diet comprised of? I don't have like a labeled diet, like, oh, I'm a vegan, or, oh, I'm a carnivore diet, or, keto. Basically, I eat all organic. I do eat some animal products. I don't do dairy, but I do some high quality, pasture raised, humanely raised meats, because it's important for my blood building. I can't do a vegan diet. I've tried it. I eat a lot of like eggs, pasture raised eggs, avocados, lots of fats, lots of healthy fats. Relatively low carbohydrates. I do like fruits and things like that, but I don't do refined carbs. Zero sugar, zero refined sugar. I don't touch alcohol. I haven't in 5 years. But yeah, flexible diet. Lots of superfoods though. Lots of, I eat fresh. I eat healthy. I don't eat processed foods. Nuts. Love almond butter. I make smoothies. Put a lot of different things in my smoothies. Put some greens in there and things like that. Say I pushed too far with my weightlifting. Now inflammation, soreness, and muscle tension are on the rise. Would qigong be a good healing technique for this? You have to be really careful with, a lot of our Western physical exercise just absolutely destroy the body. Weightlifters destroy their bodies. Runners often destroy their joints. Like, it's rough. It's rough. You have to be careful with this stuff. Don't push yourself too much, which is why I like cross training with these internal practices, qigong and tai chi and yoga with, I do strength training. I lift weights. So qigong can help, definitely. Also stretching, doing yoga is important as well if you're going to lift weights, things like that. So be careful, be easy on your body. Plenty of rest, always take those rest days. Switch from weights to resistance bands. Powerlifting screwed my body up. Yeah, when my city was going into lockdown, my gym club started obviously working out at home. So I was doing body weight stuff. I was doing like resistance bands, kind of like rigging up some things. And it actually, I didn't feel like, because sometimes my back's a bit like tweaked from, I'm saying, be careful when you're at the gym, but here I am, messing up myself, right? So what I noticed is that body weight exercises and resistance bands, you don't have the same, like, just completely destroy your body the same way. So yeah, functional training is great. Most bodybuilders, their spine is completely destroyed when they're older in life. It's like, okay, you have a nice looking body that really doesn't have any functional strength to it. You know what I mean? It's like, what can you actually do with the muscles besides look good? They usually don't serve you that well. And when your body's like completely destroyed later in life, so that's why it's important to like be holistic with your training. Keep yourself flexible and supple and balanced. Paul Check, yeah, I'm familiar with him. He's got some great stuff. All right, guys, any more questions? Just kind of wrapping up here. Yeah, a lot of sicknesses are passed through water. Yeah, sewer plants turn the waste into bottled water. Not to mention all the shit that, at least here in the US, they put a lot of nasty things in your drinking water, chlorine, fluoride. I do not drink tap water. Flexibility is often better than building muscle. Yeah, but you can also be too flexible to where your body's like, it's important to have strength. So I think it's having that balance between strength and flexibility, which is very, very important. Thoughts on $1 Million Point? Yeah, this is the technique where you press into the perineum to physically block the ejaculation from happening when you're orgasming. It's okay. It's a crude technique. I teach it in my course, but I don't recommend like making it your main thing because you still lose energy from it. You lose like 40% less energy, but you still, it's a genital centered peak orgasm. You still lose your erection. You have to recover from it. So I teach it only as like a, last resort method. Like you're slipping, going over the edge. There's nothing you can do. So you can kind of save some of that energy with the $1 Million Point. But if you do it wrong, you have a retrograde ejaculation. So you ejaculate into the bladder and pee it out. And if you use it, you absolutely must spend some time massaging that whole area, your groin, the perineum area after using it. How long did it take for me to have my first Kundalini experience? Well, I took some magic mushrooms and had my first Kundalini awakening. It was insanely powerful. I was one with the universe. I was like in other dimensions, completely changed me and who I was, got me on the spiritual path. I tried to do it again, but just only had like terrifying experiences after that. So that was kind of my first one. And then spontaneously had a Kundalini experience back in 2013, really for no good reason. I mean, I was doing Kundalini yoga and stuff, but yeah. So, it's happened a few times. For me, doing qigong practice helped me ground that. Does rock climbing destroy the body? I'm not really sure. I haven't done much rock climbing. It's a little more functional, right? So I think as long as you don't go too crazy with it, it's a lot more functional training. Chiropractic adjustments once per week, good or bad long term? I don't know enough about. I know that there's some chiropractors who really know what they're doing, and I've also heard of people like being completely messed up by chiropractors. So it's something you kind of have to fill out for yourself. What do I think of ice baths and the Wim Hof method? I think they're great. There's a lot of benefits to it. It has its limitations as well. You're only going to go get so deep with the Wim Hof method, but it's still better than what 99% of people in the world are doing, right? So it's great practice for sure. I do some Wim Hof breath work myself. Am I doing any seminars anytime soon? I just had a online workshop yesterday. And just to open registration for my 6-week course, Multi-Orgasmic Man. You can find links to that in all my YouTube videos, all my recent ones anyway. Clamping PC muscle at point of 9 or 9.5. I mean, if you want to have the weak genital orgasm, or sometimes you actually have a retrograde ejaculation, you can do that. But I don't really use PC muscle clenching anymore. In my practice, I've developed other practices that are more relaxation based that for me are a lot more powerful, because if you get into squeezing the PC muscle too much, you activate the sympathetic nervous system, which leads to ejaculation, often makes you ejaculate quicker, basically. Multi-Orgasmic Man's open right now. So yeah, you can get in. How much time do I set aside for my qigong practice? I am practicing 2 to 3 hours a day. I do an hour of sitting meditation. I do 2 hours of qigong. I'm also doing, Xing Yi Chuan, which is kind of an internal martial art, but it's actually like a covert energy cultivation practice. It's badass. So yeah, I'm practicing 2 to 3 hours a day, but only because, I started with 15 minutes. I was like, wow, this makes me feel great. So I started adding more as I was learning more, started adding more and more. So it's not like I forced myself to do it. I just love doing the practice and it gets me super high. So that's why I'm practicing 2 to 3 hours a day. Does what improve your memory and concentration? Okay, Spiritual Bad Boys versus the 6-week course. What's the difference? Spiritual Bad Boys is about semen retention lifestyle and sustaining that lifestyle. So, we do qigong practice. We do a new qigong routine every month. Meditation. We do transformational breathwork together, and some success trainings as well. But we don't really go into the sexual practices in depth. Multi-Orgasmic Man is more about the sexual practices and the sexual kung fu of it. So they're different offers, but they're very, very complementary to each other. Better alternative to clamping the PC muscle is relaxing. You can even use reverse Kegels as well, but you relax your body so much that you're able to just move, get that energy flowing through the whole body, using your breath. You can even use sound, use like moaning sounds to circulate the energy. Yes, semen retention improves memory and concentration, because when you're constantly ejaculating, you lose a lot of zinc, which is, important for proper brain function. Prolactin is released when you ejaculate, which makes you feel unmotivated, depressed, and inhibits testosterone, so you don't feel that clear-mindedness. Thanks, brother. You're in Spiritual Bad Boys. All right, guys, any final questions? I'm going to jump off here in a minute. Thanks everyone for joining. I won't be on here next week. I'm going to be flying back home next Thursday. Is clamping PC muscle good start to learning? Not it. It depends what you're trying to accomplish. It's good to strengthen your strengthen your pelvic floor muscle. Usually when people say the PC muscle, they're actually talking about the BC muscle, which is the middle muscle in the perineum. When you have to pee and you're holding it back, it's the BC muscle. The PC muscle is actually around the anus. If you were actually only squeezing the PC muscle, it'd be much better. But again, the thing with excessively squeezing the pelvic floors, it programs that response when you're having sex. So you notice when you're stimulating your penis, do you have an involuntary contraction in your pelvic floor from that stimulation? This makes your penis much more sensitive and makes you ejaculate quicker. So I focus on complete relaxation of my pelvic floor during sex now. So reverse Kegels are important. Watch my videos on doing Kegels properly. The most impressive physical change I've seen through semen retention and qigong. Physical change. I mean, there's a lot I've been doing physically as well. I would say just the pure energy. I'm in great shape. Like I don't even do like cardio exercise that often. You know, I do a lot of strength training and things like that. But when I am like, you know, for example, I bought a bike last week, you know, and was biking up hills, and like my partner Mariah was like really winded, and I'm just like going up this steep hill. Like I'm in really great shape, and I don't do that much cardio exercise. I think my qigong practice and my tai chi practice, and you know, cultivate my sexual energy. Of course, you know, I said I do strength training a lot more, but anyways, just having a lot of physical strength and power. Experience after 30 days of semen retention, massively improved energy, concentration, focus, confidence, magnetism, attraction from other people, influence, just, you know, a lot of things. All right, guys, thank you for joining me. I'm going to jump off. Have a great rest of your day, great night, whatever. And again, Multi-Orgasmic Man, my 6-week course is open for registration right now. All the tools you need to clear negative patterns from your life, build your energy channels, open your energy channels, circulate sexual energy through your body to have non-ejaculatory orgasms and last for hours during sex. So check that out, Multi-Orgasmic Man. There's a link in my recent YouTube videos. All right, guys, have a good night or afternoon, whatever it is.